912, as I'm known on PlayStation. Wanted to, and I wasn't going to show the entire race. We've got 5 laps left. I'm currently in third position. Wanted to show you a quick. It's not really a trick, but I'll go ahead and I'll show you the tuning that I've got, and you can take it from there. How to grind out credits, and unfortunately, it's part of the in game. I mean, you need credits, you need, mileage points, you need all that good stuff. And of course, you could just race a bunch of easy races. You could go to like the beginner circuits and, just knock them out, the ones that only take, 5 minutes a piece. But you're really not getting a great payoff for that. So what I did was I used a variation of something that it's I forget which YouTuber actually originally posted the video, but they were doing a very similar thing, except with the KTM Expo or Crossbow. Um, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it. I think probably a little easier. I did it with the KTM. I think after the last update, I don't think that worked as much with the stock settings. It was seemed a little bit more difficult to really consistently come in first place. And I mean, what's the point if you're not going to get the most out of it? And then with the next update, they came up with the Ford GT, which is a car that I just absolutely love in this game. So in the premium, it's in the professional section, and it's in the premium sports lounge. And there is basically it's a set of races for any non-race car costing, I think, over 1 million credits. So it does take a little bit of an investment, but if you're grinding out credits, 1 million investment on one vehicle is, it's going to happen. So you just grind it out, and by the time you're at that professional setting, it shouldn't be too hard to grind out 1 million, credits in a fairly short order to put towards one car. So right now we're at the Blue Moon Speedway, which I think is the first race in the event. And we're in the Ford GT, but this is not the stock Ford GT. This Ford GT has been detuned as far as power, so that it essentially fits into an N400 class in terms of power. However, every lap you're going to take, I mean, they start you off in either like last place or 16th or something like that. And every lap, provided that you just don't have absolute disaster, you're going to, take 2 or 3 seconds sometimes off of the leader's lead. That's going to be established in, like, let's say the second lap. So, they're going to be in the lead for the second lap, and then after that, you're just going to be chopping away, chopping away, chopping away, 3 seconds at a clip. As you can see, I'm putting in fairly consistent, and keep in mind, I'm not taking this like uber seriously. I'm not like hardcore driving here. I'm, I mean, I'm on like my third beer, which if I'm going to be serious driving, I don't drink or anything like that. I'm just credit grinding. I'm on autopilot here. And I'll give you my break-in points and just kind of a couple of tips. And probably because I'm the type of person that can do one thing really well or two things half-assed, I may have a catastrophe here, in which case, oopsie. Hopefully I won't, though, because it's just pretty straightforward track. It's really not that difficult. So let's go ahead. Currently, we've gone through 10 of 15 laps, and I just took third. Currently, I am 5.475 seconds behind the lead, which with 5 laps to go is more than enough. And I actually have scored, when I was doing a little bit better and paying a little bit more attention, I actually managed to score not only a car handicap bonus, but also a clean race bonus. It can be done, but of course on circular track with, that many vehicles on the road, getting a clean race bonus is really difficult just because of all the number of cars that there are on the road and the situations you can get into. But if the stars align and you get yourself in a good position, and you really think strategically, you can get your clean race bonus. It's not going to happen for this race. I already know that. But like I said, I'm far from taking this like really seriously. This isn't like the Ferrari Festival that I posted a while ago where I was like completely in racing mode. No, this is I'm credit grinding, because I gotta pay for those Ferraris. Anyway, so here we go. So here we go into turn one. Turn one is the turn you can take flat out. You just kind of have to pay attention to your drive line. With this, woo, and again, I can do one thing really well or two things half-assed. Four, you can pretty much take with any point in the track as long as you get on the brakes and downshift into fourth. And you want it to be a low fourth. Now hold on. You want it to be a low fourth. Or I'm sorry, that was actually turn one. Which we'll get to in a minute because that's slightly more complicated. But if you've gone through the circuit experience for this track, that's basically the only instructions you're going to need to follow. Turn two, like I said, you can take at any speed on the track, or any position on the track, easily. I just slid past a Huracan in a second place. But you want it to be a low fourth. And then, of course, it is, whoa, turn one. I'll get to in a minute. That's it. I mean, this is, you can see the seconds ticking off even with my screw ups, and with the traffic. Obviously, if you've got a really good race line, you're going to do better. Essentially, you just have to follow the circuit experience tips. For this, in a lot of my group, 3 cars, when I'm on this track, I've got a different braking point. But for now, we're just going to use that 100-meter marker. Get in a low to medium third. That one actually is a little high. And just pull around. And that should get you right into fourth. If you're taking it a little bit better, you can actually take... you can actually be able to shift into fourth right after you hit the apex, if you hit it perfectly. Again, on this turn, and it's also, with this setup, it's really easy to get around traffic, which is the best thing about this. You don't have, via the system, and that would be first place. Of course it's a LaFerrari. And they're going to kill you in the straightaways, period. But see, every turn, you're killing their lead to the point where, whoop, see, hey, it was probably you that got me the last time. This is actually getting really close. go. No. You shall not pass. Ah! And he did. And so did I. Let's finish out this race. I'm good. And that really is, that's going to be the trick here, is that with this setup, you're going to have the speed because of the transmission setup to really move at a quick pace and win these rounds. And because of that, you're getting that wonderful 130% car handicap. The usual prize for this race is 100,000 credits. You get 230 because of the car handicap. Of course, you get an additional 50% if you manage to run a clean race, which can be done. It has been done, and I've done it. And God knows I am not, I'm not the end-all, be-all, and neither do I have a, huge, $10,000 gaming rig with a full cockpit or anything like that. Nope, it's me with my controller, and sometimes when I'm just credit grinding, it's under the influence of a couple of beers too. It also bumps up your experience 130% for the car handicap, and again, you get that 50% bonus if you do run a clean race. You get 640 mileage points, which is awesome if you like to do your custom liveries, and because lately I've started paint collecting like you wouldn't believe. And also, if you do this just once, you've got your daily miles. So you can kill, 4 birds with one stone with one race. And the total race, let's exit out of this. Total race takes about 12 minutes. Yeah. 12 minutes, 19 seconds, 19 and a half. You'll see I've got the best lap. And it, I've actually gotten better than that. Shaved maybe a second off that, where I hit just 2 laps where I just absolutely nailed them, so I was just cruising. So yeah, you're going to be pushing, 48 second in this. Easy. Let's see, where do they start you off? Yeah, like 16th or something like that. And you can see it's a really quick, you're just flying past groups of people at one time. Alrighty, so we're gonna exit out of this. Actually, no, we're not. We're gonna go into car settings. So I've maxed out the GT. Not that I ever push the performance in the GT that much, because it gets, at that point it gets a little squirrely. I've got my power ratio set down to 80%, which is just enough to get it into the N400 class. If you go to 81, you'll see it's right to the right of the Ford logo. You'll see the class. So it's at N500 right now. We want it at N400. To kind of counteract that, we want to reduce the weight as much as we can. Traction control set at 0. This race allows any tires, so why not go with the super soft? I like having a slightly forward brake balance on this one, because I do trail brake just slightly into turn 1 and occasionally into turn 3. Ride height, suspension, all of that stuff completely stock, remains completely unchanged. Downforce level is not adjustable in the GT. A differential, didn't bother changing it. Here's where I made the changes. Go to a fully customizable transmission. You want to set your top auto speed at 205. First gear is going to be, and 205 is just enough so that you're never quite maxed out. If you set it at 200, you're going to find that after the straightaway going into turn one, you're going to be in you're going to be maxed out. Your car's literally going to be redlining in 6th gear with no place to go and no more speed to pick up. So 205, and same thing with final gear. With this 3.510. Again, setting it to be a little quicker than that. Again, you're going to end up in a position where you're stuck. So I'll read them off, but you can pause the video and just take them down. First gear, 2.616. Second gear, 1.840. Third gear, 1.410. Fourth gear, 1.133. Fifth gear, 0.957. And sixth gear, 0.847. And to be honest with you, this transmission setup, power setup, and weight setup has just been absolutely awesome. I was kind of fine-tuning it, messing with it for maybe, I don't know, a couple of days. Change one thing, put a note in it, see if it gets better or worse, change another thing, going through and just trying to get the optimal car for these conditions. And this is it right here. And this is just absolutely perfect for this. Like I said, it's an easy win tonight, and it usually does not come down to a shootout in the last lap. Usually I'm pulling the lead for sometimes 2 or 3, sometimes 4 laps on this one, but like I said, I'm just kind of half-assing it right now. And I have had a couple of beers, so I'm obviously not competing at my best. So the fact that I can still consistently grind out credits is nice. I mean, that's almost 250,000 credits in 12 minutes worth of work with virtually no effort other than following the basic instructions of the circuit experience, and even then, screwing those up occasionally on a circular track that only has 3 turns, and they're all 2 of them are pretty much high-speed turns. So it's literally as simple as it gets. And I've gone through, and God knows how many times I've done this. And yeah, of course, my credits really don't reflect that because of the fact that I just bought a bunch of Ferraris so that I could test drive them before just driving the one that only costs 500,000 credits as opposed to all the others. So yeah, an easy trick. I know there's been others that have exploited the same thing, and I would not even consider this a hack. I don't think this is dishonest in the slightest. I think you're using technical skills to make the most speed with a less powerful engine. That's not cheating, that's engineering. A lot of your ultra efficient cars these days, you'll have a car with a ridiculously small motor in terms of displacement that initially has really, really small, a small amount of power, really low powered engine. And then, okay, we go ahead and it's really fuel efficient and it's great, but it's slow as hell. And then we're going to throw turbocharger or supercharger on it. And we're going to gear the transmission in a way that, now all of a sudden, you've got a pretty decent little fun to drive car. And you're not paying paying for the amount of gas that you would otherwise pay. So you get a reliable daily driver that can also be fun to drive. And that's the same thing we're doing here. We're taking a smaller power and bumping it up with the transmission. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I can be very verbose, especially after a couple of beers, but I hope you did enjoy it. Y'all have a good one.